Hello, hello. All right, so clearly I haven't reorganized my pictures yet, but I'll get to it. Um, well, since I started this channel, I've been talking on and off about my experience in the cult, originally known as the Children of God, later the Family of Love, then the Family, and then the Family International is what they currently go by. TFI or COG is usually what I use to abbreviate, or just the cult. Um, they are most known for their sex beliefs. So I figured it might be about time that I have a little story time regarding that. Now, I will premise this with saying there was a lot of child sexual abuse, rape, there was incest, there was all sorts of molestation, and so forth. Too many stories to discuss them all. Um, I have had people open up with me and share their own personal stories with sexual assault, um, whether it was by another young person in our age group or someone older as an adult. Um, so it was very, very rampant. However, I won't be sharing any of those stories as they don't involve me. Um, Sexual assault and abuse, child abuse of any sort, is a very personal thing, and it's not my place to tell other people's stories. There is a newly released docu-series. I believe the two main ex-members speaking are Hope Bastine and Verity Charter. Um, I have never met either of these women in person, but they were members of the cult, and I am social media friends with them, and I've interacted with them for many years in safe spaces for ex cult members. So I'm quite familiar with them and their stories. I haven't watched the documentary yet as I don't have Discovery Plus, but I'm definitely looking forward to it. And if you want to see a documentary, a docu-series that's come out, there's also an episode in, I believe it was on E, or I don't know. It was Cults and Extreme Beliefs or something like that. A&E, I think, did a miniseries, and I think we're featured in, I'm forgetting if it's episode 3 or 6. But a longtime friend that I do personally know and lived with off and on over the years is Amy Brill, and she tells her story along with a couple others that I'm forgetting their names right now, and I feel so bad about that. But anyways, there are people who are speaking out. So there are other resources to find, and I wish I remembered all the names of the things. But that's how it goes for me. So, as usual, I'm going to speak about my personal experience. I will do my best to not smoke because I don't encourage smoking, but as usual, this is a difficult conversation to have, even if I'm just sitting in my basement recording while the dogs sleep near me. Speaking of dogs, for a quick interlude, I've been training Miss Only. There's a dog trainer on YouTube named Zach George. Oh my God, I'm just mentioning all the peoples, but he has a really good way of using encouragement as opposed to discipline for the dogs to train them and give them a lot of treats. And so I've been trying to put into practice some of his teachings. And so, yes, my dog is big and strong, and she's not too keen on getting her nails trimmed. We did do a treat technique to get her nails trimmed, and I've taken a few scratches because you can't even see. Yeah, they're not even bad. She is so gentle. You can see a tiny bit there. My skin is so pale and delicate that I bruise so easy. So she is quite gentle, but she's just a very powerful dog. Anyways, that's my diversion because I think I'm avoiding the subject long enough. So let's jump into it because at this point I've probably lost half my audience. All right, so um, in order to understand a bit of my mentality toward sex and things like that, you have to kind of understand the environment I was in. And that's really hard to explain to outsiders because if you weren't in that environment, it just sounds so crazy and so foreign. Maybe some of this you'll relate to, but a lot of it you might not. So I understand that. I'll do my best to explain. So, from a very, very young age, we were taught that, for one, the hierarchy, it was very, I've talked about this before, it was ruled by men. Women were second class, always. Um, that was just how it went. Women were taught, and by women, I mean small children as well, just females in general. If you were a girl, you were taught that you were created for the men. You were an object. Your prime goal in life was to serve men, please men, and pop out babies for them. That was your role in life. And if you could not fulfill that, you were not doing your prime purpose in life and you were failing as a person. So, this was the mentality I was born into. This was drilled into us from a very, very, very young age. I can't even express. Here's a for instance, and this is outing myself too, because in this environment, it was not only like there were adults that perpetrated these things on us, but this mentality got so drilled into our heads that some of us turned around and we perpetrated things on other people because we were stuck in this mindset ourselves. So when I think I was about 5, we lived in this really beautiful place in Brazil. It's a little place called Brasilia. No, oh my God, I just fucked up. Brasilia is the capital. Oh my God. There goes my mind, and now I wish I knew how to edit. My fuck up. Okay, so not Brasilia. No, Petrópolis. Petrópolis is kind of up in the mountains, sort of a suburb of Rio. And we lived in a really, really nice house there. A lot of the places we lived were quite nice. I'll talk about that another day. Anyways, we lived there. I was about 5. I think I had my 6th birthday in that house. But at the time, I'm quite certain I was 5. And there were 2 younger children. There was a lot of younger children, but this situation involves 2 younger children that were about 2 years old. They were in diapers. I remember that. And we did not stay in diapers for long. We were taught very early. And again, that's another conversation. So they were in diapers. And I was supervising them at 5 years old. There was an adult close by supervising me, supervising them. And they were playing around in their diapers, as toddlers do. And I was instructed by the adult, and again, I was very small, so I don't remember who this adult was. I believe it was a woman, but that's all I can recall. This adult told me that I should instruct these 2 small children on how to have sex with each other. They were 2. They were a month apart in age, and they were 2 years old. So at at the instruction of this adult, 5-year-old me told the both of them to remove their diapers and to fondle each other's private bits. And I honestly saw nothing wrong in this behavior. As an adult now, I can recognize that what I did was not okay. I don't hold myself extremely accountable for this because I was 5 years old and I recognize that I also was a victim in this situation. I should not have been put in that position. I just shouldn't have. I shouldn't have been instructed to do it. And I know that if I had said no and defied, I would have been beat very intensely. I likely would have gone several days without food because that was normal punishments. This is how you train children. But I can honestly say that I did perpetrate sexual assault on these 2 younger children. I hope they were young enough that they don't remember this. For me, I was old enough that I do remember this. And this is the environment I was born into. I am not one of the firstborns in the group. Kids who were born earlier than me. I was born the end of 79. There are people who were born in the early to mid 70s. And the older second generation, like some of my older siblings, um, these women who are speaking out on this mini documentary, and others who have spoken out, um, they were part of the older generation of like the firstborn children into the cult. They were involved in things that should not have happened at very young ages. They would do, I remember doing videos for David Berg, for the founder, um, where you would just have like a little sarong or a shawl or a little, you know, flimsy piece of cloth, and you would do like sexy dances, which is child pornography. I was really little when this was happening, and I kind of like a little attention, so I wanted to dance too. I didn't see anything wrong with what was happening because, again, this was my environment. And I remember mom telling me I was too young to participate. And this is where shit gets kind of weird because for me, at the young age of 5 and 6 years old, I already understood that my purpose in life was to be wanted by men and to be desired and to be found attractive and to serve a purpose for a man. And if I couldn't do that, if I wasn't attractive enough to do a sexy pornographic dance as a child, then I felt I had no value. That's twisted. That's really twisted. And the girls that did get forced into participating because clearly a lot of children did not want to participate. I was one of the weird ones that was like, yes, I get to be center of attention. Hell yeah. Um, yeah. For the ones who were forced into it, because so many were. Even if they were just forced because this mentality was pushed on them, they were forced into this. Even if they actually willingly participated, as I would have, even they were forced into it through brainwashing and through mind control. They were forced. These are children. They did not have their own free will. None of us did. This was all control. Sexual assault is about power and control. And us children were controlled so much that some of us, at least myself, actually desired to participate in some of these things. Oh my God, that sounds so twisted. That really sounds so twisted. But it's what it is. That's what it was. And you'll never fully comprehend that mentality if you haven't lived in that environment. You just won't. Even some people in that environment might not understand that mentality fully. But anyways, I was not allowed to participate. Later on, when I got older, I remember when I was about 7 or 8, we were at the Lego house, another house I plan on talking about. That's the place where I had the hives and made my first suicide attempt. And one of the things I remember, we had, we called our like supervisors or whoever was like, your teacher for your age group or whatever, we called them shepherds. And we were the sheep. Real ironic. And I remember one time he made all us young girls line up and take our shirts off. And I was told not to participate because I didn't have breasts yet. I, however, wanted to be included because I felt very unseen at that time. I felt, again, undesired, and I felt like I wasn't fulfilling my purpose as a female. And so I chose to participate. And I remember standing at the end of the line. And now there were older girls. I was 7 or not even, I don't think I was 8 yet, but maybe close to 8. But there were girls as old as 12 and 13 who were growing breasts at the time. And I remember being a little jealous of that because I didn't have that yet. And I remember him walking down the line, fondling other girls that were in the room, mostly the ones that were somewhat developed. I was ignored, thankfully, but weirdly enough, it again made me feel like I wasn't serving my proper purpose. And it made me feel like I was failing as a woman or as a girl, but girls were women at a very young age in that environment. And he was critiquing them and telling them they were too proud of their bodies, that they thought they were something special. And, because they were luring the men in with their bodies, and their bodies weren't all that. And he was condemning them and shaming them. And it was quite atrocious, honestly. Um, and weirdly enough, I would have even been okay with that negative attention because of how unseen I felt at the time. And now looking back, this is the thing. This is my takeaway, okay? Oh, this shit is really fucking depressing. This is something that has carried on into my life as an adult. I'm not the hottest gal ever. My hair gets frizzy. I've put on some weight. I'm working on that with my big dog. She's getting me out and about and moving. But I'm not drop dead gorgeous, and I'm well aware of that. Um, for a long time, I felt because I wasn't beautiful and because I wasn't just instantly desired by men, that something was wrong with me and that I wasn't being a proper woman, that I wasn't fulfilling my life purpose. I felt like my life purpose was to please other men, and not to get too into the gritty details, but even in regards to my own, I had some unhealthy approaches to sex where I was content so long as I knew that the man was happy. It didn't matter if I was. Me having an orgasm wasn't relevant because I wasn't relevant. Um, I once described the feeling that my body was just an object that I'm attached to. And I realized that while I personally was never raped, I still was raised in such a rape culture that don't get triggered by that shit. Because this is a rape culture to the extreme. That because of the rape culture that I was raised in, I felt that because I wasn't raped, I wasn't worthy and I wasn't good enough. And there was something wrong with me. That's twisted. That is fucked up. That is a terrible mentality to have. Um, yeah, that's just simply fucked up. I'm going to have a sip of my drink real quick. Y'all bear with me. I really need to learn how to edit shit because I do all these pauses because this shit is just hard and I don't know where to go next. Yeah, so cigarettes where I'm going next. I gotta collect my thoughts. This is where I'll throw in a little positivity, okay? Because I can't dump heavy shit on people and not throw in a little positivity. Because just because you're raised in a terrible environment, it is possible to overcome. It is possible to move forward in your life, and it's possible to move through the trauma and move forward. And one of the things I found that was so healing, and this is another reason, there's just so many reasons why I miss Jordan so much. Fuck, now I'm gonna cry. Um, Jordan always made me feel beautiful. He would just look at me, and the look in his eyes said everything, but he would also tell me. And he didn't just tell me I was beautiful. He told me I was smart. He told me I was kind. He told me I was an amazing person. I used to joke with him and tell him that he was going to boost my ego so big that if anything ever happened that we weren't together, I think I've mentioned this before, I was going to be the crazy old lady at the bar hitting on all the hot young ones because I just thought I was all that because of how he lifted my ego. because he made me feel like I had value beyond my appearance and beyond what I could do sexually for a man. And I had come somewhat to that place on my own, but he cemented it so thoroughly in my head. And when I lost him, I felt like I lost all of that confidence. And these last 14 months, I've been working on rebuilding that because he wasn't wrong. I have more value than my appearance, and I have more value than my body. Fuck. All right, apparently I know how to pause the video, which is as close to editing as I can get. I needed a few moments just to compose myself. This is what I want the takeaway to be, no matter what the story is. This is the takeaway that I am working on coming to full terms with for myself. And I hope that if you ever felt the way I did, that your only worth is what you can do for someone else. And if your body is what you think is the only thing you got going for you, I want to tell you what I try to tell myself. And I'm still learning this for myself, so I ain't perfect yet. Yet, if ever. You are worth more than your appearance. You are worth more than your body. You are worth more than what you can do for a man or your partner, whoever they may be. You are worth more than that. There is more that you bring to the world and more than that you bring to other people than just your body. You have a mind, you have a heart. Maybe we have souls, who knows? But you are worth more. And this is something I'm trying to learn still for myself. So the words hopefully might help someone. I know telling myself this and reminding myself that I'm worth more helps me. So if you're having a rough day, remind yourself that you are of value in so many more ways than you realize. There's so many little things people do every day that they take for granted, that they don't think is meaningful. Like dropping $1 for the person on the street corner. It might be a little thing for you. It's $1. What's $1? But for them, it could mean a bit of food that day. You don't know. Little things are so important. And knowing your value and your worth as a person is so important, whoever you may be. And I guess that's where I should end this before I break myself down in tears again. But that's something that I have to learn. My body is not just an object I'm attached to, it's part of me. And me wanting to disconnect from my body and what happens to my body, I can handle it so long as they can't touch my mind, so long as they can't touch my sense of self, then I'm safe. And that's a defense mechanism that I've done in order to get through life. But it's okay to like my body. Even with all the rolls and stretch marks and all that, I used to be real self-conscious about that. I had a baby. I have stretch marks. I'm a bit lazy. I don't work out. I don't do a whole lot of walking. I get overwhelmed working out. So I don't have a perfect body. I don't know if I ever will. But that's okay. It's okay if I still like myself as I am. I am trying to get healthier. That part matters to me. Because when I get winded going on the stairs or taking a walk around a few blocks with my dog and I get sore all over, that's not great. So I'd like to be healthier. But in the meantime, it's okay for me to love the skin I'm in. It's okay. Big saggy titties and all. Oh boy, I went there. Yeah, it's okay. It's okay to be imperfect. It's okay to be working on yourself. That's okay. I'm just going to keep saying it's okay. Wherever you're at in your journey, it's okay. It's okay to love yourself, and it's okay to realize that you're worth more than just your physical shell that you're in. And maybe on that note, I'll call this a video and actually shut myself up. And yes, I will work on rearranging that. And I feel like I should link shit in the description, but I don't know what the hell to link because I mentioned so many different things. All right, I'm going to say goodbye and finish my cigarette and relax with my dogs because that seems like an awesome thing to do. Ciao.